Welcome to the Contemplative Dad. Okay, so I've been reflecting on a quote from this book right here. It's called The End of the Modern World by Romano Guardini. And the quote goes like this: if a man does not learn to control himself from within, he will inevitably be controlled by something from without. This quote hits hard. And when I look around, when I look inside myself some days, I see it everywhere. We just live in a time where it's easier than ever to disappear, to blend in, to let the world tell you who you are, what to want, what to chase, what to call success. And so in a world like ours, to truly live from within, to know yourself, to cultivate silence, to hear the voice of God, this almost becomes an act of rebellion. Guardini called it the age of the masked man, which is a man who can no longer live from within. He just obeys whatever program is handed to him. He wrote that masked man acts as almost if to be oneself was both the source of all injustice and even a sign of peril. If you don't learn to cultivate and master the inner life, you will live fragmented, torn apart by the external world around you. And slowly you're going to become someone that you never intended to be. At the end of every day, every man closes his eyes and returns to the quiet solitude of his soul. So what's changed? Why is it harder to be a man of prayer, of virtue, to hear God? For most of human history, men woke up with the sun, they worked the land, they prayed in rhythm with the seasons, they tilled the soil, and they worshiped. Now, we wake up under synthetic light, our food is packaged and processed, our calendars are frantic, even Sunday feels like another slot to squeeze things in. We no longer see ourselves as a part of creation. We are our own gods, and we live like machines. So the problem with this is not how we were created. We were not meant to be just cogs in a machine, consumers. You were made in the image of God. You were created as a person, not a product. Guardini says that man might be finite, but he's also a real person, irreplaceable in his unique act of being, one whose dignity cannot be supplanted, whose responsibility cannot be avoided. We were not made to blend into mass production. We were made to complete God's world, to shape it, to steward it, and to glorify Him through our freedom. If you're trying to seek truth, if you're trying to hear God's voice, if you're trying to grow spiritually in this age, you're going to need more discipline than ever. Because God doesn't yell, He whispers. In your heart, in your mind, and in your soul. But the question is this: do you hear Him? We live in an age of constant noise. Everyone has a platform, everyone has a cause or a call to action, and it's easy to believe that the battle for truth is being fought out there on the internet, in politics, in the media. But the real war is inside of you. Not between left and right. It's between sin and grace, between the flesh and the spirit, between distraction and dedication, between you and God. Being truly yourself, living out your God-given personality, your specific, irreplaceable calling, becomes dangerous in modern society. Because it's easier to blend in, it's easier to obey whatever the machine demands, it's easier to fit into the mold than to live with conviction. Even our work, once an act of creation, of craft, of offering, has become hollow. No wonder we feel anxious. No wonder so many of us hate our jobs. Guardini says, the more perfect the apparatus, the fewer the possibilities for personal creativity. The human element, which lives so strongly in handmade work, disappears. The artisan becomes the worker, the server of machines. The customer becomes the consumer, whose tastes are dictated by mass production and advertising. This is where we stand right now. This is the decision before us. Either we disappear into the collective mass as an empty means for mechanical function, or we wake up and we begin again. We make a decision for silence, for stillness, for prayer, leisure, and meaningful work. We stop waiting for the machine to tell us what to do. We listen for the still small voice of God that is inside of us. The voice that says, you were made for more. You are not a machine. You are a co-creator. You are an heir. Every hour, every moment, we can begin again. You can choose today, right now, to start living from within. Not to rebel against God, but in obedience to Him. Guardini reminds us that man's sovereignty is not meant to establish an independent world of man, but to complete the world of God, as a free human world in accordance with God's will. You are called to become yourself, not to erase yourself, not to just submit to the machine and disappear into conformity. You are called to learn to control yourself from within, because if you don't, you won't just lose your freedom. You're going to lose yourself. And you have been given a power, a marvelous and frightful freedom. Use it.